Hey guys, welcome to Thermomixing Adventures. I'm back. I'm about to make lunch for the kids and I thought I'd show you how to make this awesome recipe. Veggie filled, and I will be making it gluten-free and adding a shortcut. So let's get straight into it. It is a courgette and parmesan muffin recipe on Cookie Do. Courgettes because it's a US recipe. Don't let that stop you from making it though, okay? So let's go straight to start cooking. Preheat your oven. And then grease a muffin tray. I'm using a silicone one, and I've actually dropped into the bottom of that a little bit of feta, because you'll see later on it calls for 70 grams of soft cheese. It says goat cheese. I'm just using feta. You could use tasty cheese. You could use whatever you like kind of on there. Now we're going to start with parmesan. 80 grams of parmesan in this goes. And we're going to blitz this down. Who grates their own parmesan? Hello Annette, lovely to have you on today. So it's going to grate down. It's going to be noisy for 10 seconds on speed. I think it's 10. I'll spin that right up. Oh no, 7. Okay, so speed 7 grating on this one today. If it's speed 10, you really do get a powder, and it resembles what I used to, as a young adult, go and have like bolognese at like what was it called? Pizza Hut back in the day. And they used to have this powdered cheese that would come out of a shaker bottle. That's what it reminds me of if you go finer on speed 10. So we're going to put this aside in the bowl, and we're going to keep on going with this recipe. So the next thing we're going to do, tap it out well, okay? Because we're actually going to cook in the next step, and we want our bowl not to burn too much of that parmesan on, okay? All right, next up, we've got 1 garlic clove and 100 grams of onion. Now, I am using brown onion today. You could use purple onion as well in there. If you were going to use purple onion, a little tip is you can skip the cook-off, but you want to use garlic paste, okay, so that it's sweeter naturally, because we're going to cook off this now for a couple of minutes. There's our olive oil that goes in. So these I'm going to make dairy-free and gluten-free today, okay? And I'm also going to skip a step. There's a step here it asks me to whip my eggs separately, and I'm not going to bother. Yes, you get a finer, like a fluffier product if you did, but I don't have time for that. And my kids, they're not going to complain that much, okay? It's eggs and zucchini and feta. They will eat it. They will think this is amazing. Okay, so it's got 5 seconds, speed 5. You can hear when that's done. It was pretty much done by the end. Scrape down the sides with a spatula, which I actually don't think I brought in. I'll show you though. There it is. What I will do is I'll grab my spoon. I had to do this the other day too with the teaspoon. Just be gentle when you do use, if you are going to use stainless steel in your bowl, because you know, if it's something quite abrasive like a pair of tongs, you will find that you will damage the sides of your bowl, and you don't want that. You don't want scratches unnecessarily. Okay, simmering basket on top to be safe with our Thermomix, and then 5 minutes, 120 degrees, speed 1. Now, if you're using this to cook together later along with this video, a couple of things you want to do. You want to get out 300 grams of zucchinis. If you don't have zucchinis, you could be using carrots, you could be using squash, okay, not pumpkin squash for those of you who are overseas, but like we've got little squash at the moment. We call them our little spaceships. You could use that, so a soft kind of veggie, okay, or a combination of soft veggies. You could do broccoli, cauliflower, those sorts of things in this recipe. You do need 2 eggs. As I made mention, you want to have your tray 12, it says 12 holes, greased, but obviously I've got silicone, and I've just put the little squares of feta in the bottom. If you don't like feta, just oh, by the way, that part's obviously not dairy-free, right? Feta's not dairy-free. Dairy-free people, you could probably put a sun-dried tomato in the bottom. That would be really delicious in there, I do reckon. You'll need eggs. Now, traditionally in this recipe, it calls for you to whip up the egg whites and then fold it all together. That's the part I'm skipping, and I'm foregoing that fluffiness. Totally up to you whether you do that. If you've got 2 bowls, it's going to be super easy to do. You can whip up one in one and the other one in the other. Today, shortcutting, not going to do that. It's all going in together, okay? So just a little tip there. The other thing is veggie stock, okay? It calls for salt. Swapping veggie stock so that you're getting more nutritional value and more flavor as well, okay? It is just absolutely amazing. So if you're watching on today, what are you making? Do let me know as we move into the next step. I am also using coconut cream, or it's coconut cream today, but it could be coconut milk in the place of dairy milk. You could be using a nut milk as well if you'd like. Now, we are cooking along at the moment this month doing recipes that are healthy to put in the fridge or freezer. I was going to say healthier, but they are predominantly gluten-free, not all dairy-free. But also they're mostly, I think all bar one, they've got vegetables or fruit in them. So we're just trying to add a little bit of nutritional value to the food that we eat. Rather than it being sugar, butter, eggs, flour, you know, actually knowing what's in our food and putting that effort into making it healthier. Okay, that's my resolution for this year, is actually to make sure I am, you know, less sugar, more nutrition for my kids. So you'll see that a lot of the times when we move on to next month, and the meals you'll be seeing they are ones that are packed full of good stuff. All right, so looking forward to showing you more of that soon. We're not at the end of the month yet, so I'm not going to reveal too much about next month yet. Okay, but if you're watching on today, do say hi as well. All right, 2 minutes to go. So it's been 3 minutes. 3 minutes is long enough for me. Okay, so traditionally, those of you who've had a Thermomix for a while, you'll know we normally do a 3-minute cook-off of onion and garlic. I'm happy with that today because I don't want to take too much of your time. Okay, so look how warm that is. It smells amazing. You can see that caramelization happening in the bottom of that beautiful onion. Okay, 300 grams of courgettes chopped into pieces about the size of this speed dial. Okay. So especially when it is a big one, they're no thicker than the speed dial. There's my 300. Next, salt. Oh, what do I do with that spoon? There it is. Now it says half a teaspoon of salt. I'm just gonna, normally I would double it when I go to stock, right? But I'm putting it in with, originally the recipe called for goat's cheese. I'm putting it in with feta. Feta by nature is a little bit salty. I don't want these to be salty. So I'm just gonna tame down that salt. I've also mentioned the last few days that I'm intentionally trying to give you my thought process behind some of the swaps, some of the speed ups I do. Sometimes I speed up just for the sake of, you guys don't want to sit there and watch me talk through our cook time, right? But there's other times when, you know, I'm skipping a step and it's going to do this, but that's okay. So that's what I'm kind of hopeful this year, that you gain confidence to kind of think like Lisa does to a certain extent, okay? So on with the measuring cup, let's click on next, and then 5 seconds, speed 5. You'll hear it go a little slower because it's got the heat on the bowl still, and that's okay. All right, that's chopped that down beautifully, I'm sure. Now separate your eggs. I'm not going to do that, I told you. And then add your egg yolks in, but I'm just going to show you what that looks like in there. Kind of wish I had a spatula. Anyway, we'll just work with what we've got. You can see that's diced down beautifully. Oh, I love it. It smells amazing. Oh my goodness. All right, 2 eggs. In they go. Okay, next up, we've got the last few ingredients back in. So the reserved Parmesan. We've got some flour, and we've got the coconut cream. There you go, 80 grams. I was actually going to use whey. I've been making a fair few amounts of cheese lately, part of my cheese course, and I was going to do that, and I thought this can needs using first. So I think this was used, we had the chicken tikka masala for dinner the other night. The kids have been making that regularly on that was 80 grams by the way, regularly on a Saturday night. So we have a can that's generally open and needing using. Okay, 100 grams of gluten-free flour. And oh, by the way, the recipe just says flour, so it doesn't need to be gluten-free. You could just use your ordinary glutinous plain, okay? Just what I've got on hand and what we prefer to use here. All right, next up, done. On with the lid, let's finish it off. And then it's literally a case of putting it in the putting it in the muffin pan and then putting it in the oven, and we are done. Simple as that. So, wait for it to stir through. There it is, done. And then transfer to a bowl. Okay, it wants you to now put a clean bowl in, whip up egg whites, fold it together. We're not doing that. Okay, next. So I want to get to the oven cook step so I can just tell you how long to cook it for. This is the soft cheese step, and then it's got 200 degrees for 25 minutes. But look at that. I will, if I had a spatula, really need to find all my spatulas. But I need to just chase this. There's a little bit of flour out the sides and on the little centre bit, so I just need to include that in. But now it's just a matter of literally putting it in to my little muffin pans, like so. So it's supposed to serve 12, so I will fill them pretty high because the only rising agent they've got is the egg, and that really isn't much of a rising. You'll see, just a little forewarning, when you take this out of the oven, you will see it be puffy and beautiful looking in the oven. Now, if you look at the picture in this recipe, you will see, how do I get back here? Recipe details. You'll see that they're like little flat things. So when you get it out of the oven, you can anticipate that it will have puffed, but then you will, as you see it cool down, it will flatten. Okay, totally normal for egg-based products. Don't stress over that. It has no self-raising, so you can't stop that. It doesn't even have baking powder to make it self-raising. So the only thing giving it fluff is your eggs, and they will resettle. Okay, so don't stress when that happens. It is normal. But on that note, it means you can put your mix in fairly high because you know it's going to make a beautiful round top, but then it's going to settle. Okay, so don't be surprised when that happens or upset. It's how it's supposed to be. Okay, so otherwise, guys, I'm going to finish off scooping these all out. Thanks for joining me today. Give this recipe a go. Head over to tmxingadventures.com.au, follow the QR code there, or just go tmxing.com.au. Go to the blog, because in the blog there you will find the downloadable with the 14 recipes. Download it. It's a PDF. You can click on each one of those pictures and actually then save it to your cookie dough collection so that you've got it there for later as, call them healthy, Lisa's quick, healthy, whatever they're called, lunch snacks, that's the word I'm after, healthy snacks, so that you've got them there for later reference. Or if you like printing things, it's an A4 printable. Print it off, stick it on the fridge, put it in your folder, whatever works, so that you can go visually look at it and decide what you want to make. Okay, it depends on what works best for you. But otherwise, thanks for joining me again today. Remember, sharing this video really helps me, so do make sure you send it to your friends, or at least the page, who have a Thermomix, so that they can get inspired to get more out of it. And if you are on YouTube, remember to subscribe as well there. But otherwise, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.